Okay, Alexander, let's round out the Brexit news as we head into the weekend. So anybody watching this video a couple of days afterwards, we're actually doing this on a Friday night. And we had a lot of Brexit news that we went over in part one and part two of this mini segment. And now we'll round it out with part three. And part three is also, to me, it's pretty bad news if you're for the UK leaving the EU. Article 50 now may actually be delayed. You were talking about an article from The Spectator, and we will link down that article in the description box down below for people to read that. And The Spectator is saying, according to what you were telling me from pretty reliable sources, that there is a movement underway to delay the implementation of Article 50 past the March 29th deadline. What is going on now, Alexander, with Brexit?
Lots of things are going on. Not all of those things, it must be said, are very clear. I mean, we have a situation where there's clearly some kind of a power struggle going on within the government, and there's a parallel power struggle going on within the Labour Party, which we'll also come to. But it's important to explain what The Spectator is. The Spectator is the flagship political comment magazine in Britain. It's the kind of, British super Politico. And it is historically right of centre, very close to the Conservative Party, very familiar with sentiment within the Conservative Party. And it's a magazine that people who are in the Conservative Party at the high level regularly speak to. And what The Spectator is saying is that a group of ministers are now privately advising that Article 50 must be postponed. In other words, Britain's leaving of from the European Union, from the EU, must be postponed beyond 29th March, when Britain is due to leave the European Union, because various pieces of legislation which the British government needs to pass in order for Britain to leave the European Union will not be completely passed before that date. Now, I have no doubt that those people exist. I have no doubt that that is what they are saying. I'm going to say straightforwardly that that is nonsense. There is no reason why Brexit has to be postponed to carry out legislation of this kind. The reason they are talking in this way is because they want more time, in my opinion, to prevent Brexit and to undermine Brexit and to force through this second referendum, which is now really their objective.
Can you say that the forces are amassing to stop at all costs a no-deal Brexit? A no-deal Brexit, in other words, is that prospect seems to be starting to fade away?
Well, can I just say something? I think actually it's better to see this now as a battle between no-deal Brexit, a battle between those who support a no-deal Brexit and those who want no Brexit at all. Because realistically, by the 29th of March, those are the only two alternatives. Nothing is going to happen within the time available that can be any different. And I think that the people who want to see Article 50 extended and Brexit postponed are people who do not want to see Brexit happen at all. And I think that really is very much their agenda. Now, I still think, as I've discussed in our two previous programs, that the balance of advantage in the end remains with a no-deal Brexit. And can I again explain why? First of all, the Conservative Party, the grassroots of the Conservative Party, would unquestionably prefer a no-deal Brexit to any other type of solution. I mean, I think it's becoming increasingly clear that that's where they're heading. I think Theresa May understands perfectly well that if her deal is rejected next week, which I am sure it will be, if she either postpones Brexit at the end of March or moves towards a second referendum, the Conservative Party will be torn asunder. And I don't think she wants to be the Conservative leader and Prime Minister under whom that happens. And in fact, that very same Spectator article that we were talking about, while confirming that there are some ministers who are lobbying very hard for a postponement of Article 50, that very same article confirmed that Theresa May herself is strongly opposed to them. Now, the other side of the story, which is, of course, the Labour Party, and I think we've had a number of very interesting comments coming out of the Labour Party, both from Jeremy Corbyn himself and from people close to him, and it's absolutely clear that those people don't want to see either Brexit postponed at this time, at least unless there's an election, and they don't want a second referendum at all. Now, given what I said, the logic points there again towards a no-deal Brexit. So I think the balance of advantage, in spite of the parliamentary manoeuvres, in spite of the actions of the Speaker of the House of Commons, which we talked about in a previous programme, in spite of all of these things, remains with a no-deal Brexit. But as you always remind me, Alex, these people don't give up.
So we've come full circle. No deal Brexit or second referendum. It's like we spent all this time. We've come right back to the beginning. The two major camps battling it out. You said Labour Party is leaning towards a no deal. Is that Corbyn,
no,
or would you say Labour? Is there a distinction between the two, and a big distinction?
Right. First of all, there's a huge distinction. I mean, Jeremy Corbyn is the leader of the Labour Party. He has the support of the Labour Party's grassroots, and he has around him a number of people within the Labour leadership who also support him and who support him in the unions. But the machinery, the full-time officials of the Labour Party and the Labour Party's representatives in Parliament, the MPs, are dead against him. They are strongly for remaining in the EU. Now, Jeremy Corbyn's position is a very different one. He wants Britain, I've no doubt about this, he wants Britain to leave the EU. He has been a consistent opponent of the EU ever since he went into politics, and it's known that in the previous referendum we had on this subject, back in 1975, he voted for Britain to leave the EU. I think that's what he wants. What he cannot say, because of the nature of the party he leads, is that he supports a no-deal Brexit. I think in the deepest recesses of his mind, that is probably what he would want to see. But officially, his position is that he would support a Brexit which kept Britain within the customs union and the single market, but not with the Irish backstop, which keeps Britain in the single market and the customs union permanently, as Theresa May's deal does. So his official position is he wants a soft Brexit. I think his private position is he prefers a hard Brexit and a no deal and a clean break Brexit. That's what I think. All right.
Now there was a lot of activity this past week on Brexit. Yeah. We have the vote. I believe Theresa May has the vote on the 19th of January. Yes. Do you see any more big news until the 19th, or are we all sitting back and waiting for that vote?
No. Well, first of all, we're not sitting back in waiting for that vote. We're seeing lots of activity going on all the time. There's plots, conspiracies, plans. We now know that there are 20 Conservative MPs who are pro-EU and who are prepared to work against Theresa May and who are prepared to work against Brexit and who cannot be relied on. We also know that the Speaker of the House of Commons will bend the rules in every way he can to stop Brexit. We know that Theresa May herself is committed to Brexit and doesn't want to postpone Brexit.
Can you put some names and faces to these people that are battling it out? Because I read a lot and I hear a lot of different names, Greaves and ReesMogg and all these names.
Right. The two leaders of the two parliamentary factions within the Conservative Party, the pro-EU faction is led by a man called Dominic Guive, who is a former Attorney General, a brilliant lawyer, a man who very much represents the left-wing pro-EU tendency within the Conservative Party. Within the cabinet, the strongest supporter of the EU position, the person who's closest to Guive, and who I strongly suspect is in touch with him, is Amber Rudd, who was Home Secretary before and was then sacked by Theresa May and then was brought back basically to steady the ship. But she is the leader of the pro-EU faction within the cabinet. I suppose you have to say that the leader of the strong pro-Brexit anti-EU faction, at least the best known one, is by default Jacob Rees-Mogg, who we hear so much about. Boris Johnson will, of course, disagree with that, and he would regard himself as the leader of this group, but he's widely distrusted amongst Conservative MPs at the moment. And within the cabinet itself, there are various ministers who tend to take varying pro-Brexit anti-EU positions. The most important of those is a minister called Andrea Ledstrom, who is the government's parliamentary manager. But there is also Michael Gove, who has previously taken a position that he's pro-Brexit, but has been backing Theresa May against Boris Johnson. So we have a very complicated set of people.
Because you read the names a lot, and it's hard, positioning them where they are.
One of the reasons it is actually, Alex, is because none of them actually is a terribly impressive person. Dominic Guive is a brilliant lawyer, but as I said, he's not much of a politician in my opinion. Jacob Rees-Mogg is somebody I think who attracts a lot of attention. I've noticed some people who comment on our threads are very taken by him. What I think people don't understand about Jacob Rees-Mogg is that he's one of the richest MPs in the House of Commons. His personal fortune is variously estimated as between 50 million and 150 million pounds sterling. He's a very rich man, and that gives him a certain freedom to say what he thinks, and to survive without a ministerial salary. But though that gives him a lot of prominence, it doesn't mean that he's actually a very capable politician. When he acted against Theresa May and tried to overthrow her a few weeks ago, it turned out that there were only about 40 MPs who were supporting him, and he didn't manage to get that magic number of MPs he needed to really provoke a leadership challenge. So we have, we don't have very strong figures. We don't have anything to compare with some of the titans of Britain in the past. There's certainly no Churchill in the Conservative Party now.
Right. All right. And so we're moving forward towards the 19th, full speed ahead.
I think we are. And can I just say what I think is going to happen? I think this time it will be impossible for Theresa May to postpone it. I think if she does that, well, there will be such an outcry that we would probably see a major rebellion within the Conservative Party and within the Parliament. And so I think that vote will go ahead. The BBC at the moment is estimating that that Theresa May will lose by more than 200 votes. In other words, there will be more than 200 more MPs voting against Theresa May's deal than in favour of it. So we're looking at a landslide defeat for it. I think that the probable approach that's then going to be taken is that the government will then put forward certain alternative suggestions to the House of Commons to sort of test the water on them. But I think that in private, more and more officials will come round to the view that the only practical solution is a no-deal Brexit, and we will see work on it accelerate. That is what I think, because, as I said, that is where the logic of the situation points. And I don't think that Theresa May, who is now unsackable because of that, has success in seeing off that no confidence vote a few weeks ago. I don't think Theresa May wants to be the politician who is going to destroy the Conservative Party, and I don't think she wants to be. She said that she's the Prime Minister who will deliver Brexit, and I don't think she wants to go back on that. So that is what I think is going to happen. And given that she is unsackable, I think that is what we will see. But I wouldn't put my money on it.
Right. I was just about to ask you, if there's one thing for sure, it's that we do not live in logical times. We do not. And so I will play the illogical card. What conditions would have to occur in order to push the referendum, the second referendum, or the delay of Article 50 when that 19th of January vote does take place?
Yes. I think what would have to happen is for those 20 Conservative MPs to actually split, to leave the Conservative Party and join the Labour opposition in a no-confidence motion against the Conservative government. Now, if that were to happen, then we would be looking at a huge political crisis. I have to say, I still think that's unlikely, but given how complicated the situation has become and how fanatical some of these people are on this subject, it's not a possibility I can discount. I don't think it's going to happen. I can't really see it happen, but you never know.
Yeah, that's for sure. Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click on the subscribe button down below. Smash that like button. Donate to the Duran. PayPal and Patreon. The links are in the description box. Go to the Duran shop, pick up a t-shirt, help support the Duran. And of course, you can go to theduran.com and you can find all the links to all the articles that Alexander is reading every day. Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Thank you very much. Until next time, guys, take care.